I'm Janine Nodder, and on this episode of Chatting with Janine, my guest is U.S. Senator and U.S. Ambassador Scott Brown. So, welcome. I don't know what to call you.
Just call me Scott.
Okay,
It's
that
all
makes
good.
it easy.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, I know you were on my show once before, but it was when I was taping Across the River with Al
right.
Baldessero. So.
Yeah.
And that was another...
it seems, Al, I haven't seen him in a bit. I think he's in Florida now, right?
He is, yes, but we keep in touch.
Oh, good, I have to drop him a text.
I'll tell him you're on.
Yeah, please, that'd be great.
So you're running for the U.S. Senate again. You were a senator before?
Yeah, I was a senator, obviously, and then I was President Trump's ambassador to New Zealand, Cook, Niue, Samoa, and our interest in Antarctica. And one of my main jobs was to push back against China every day, because they're building and militarizing islands, changing the law of the air and sea as it's been in place for centuries. Over-leveraging Pacific Island nations. If you can't pay or you can't pay them back, they get an airstrip or a port that we built during World War II. They're manipulating their currency, stealing our intellectual property. So my job, I was the second guy out the door behind Israel, but the first one in that region, the Indo-Pacific ASEAN region, probably for almost 2 years. So it was a great experience, and I'm very thankful.
Wow. I knew you were an ambassador, but I wasn't sure what part of the world.
Yeah, it takes about 32 plus hours to get from point A to point B.
Wow.
And it was wonderful. I mean, the next stop is Antarctica, which I've been to a couple of times. And those areas are beautiful people, beautiful countries, but the influence of China is really very, very, very serious. And respectfully, that coupled with my military experience is a reason that Chris Pappas, I believe, is lacking. He doesn't have that international experience. Now, I was dealing with over 56 ambassadors, not only in New Zealand and the other countries, but the military experience, having almost 40 years.
What branch?
I was in the Army. Yeah, I joined after the blizzard of 1978, where people were basically dying because the snow just came and they were stuck on the highways, if you recall.
I wasn't here, but they told me about it.
It was really incredible, and I said I want to be just like them as the 101st Engineer Battalion, and so I joined in 1979. I started as an enlisted man and ended up as a colonel the last 4 at the Pentagon.
Have you ever been to the Patton Museum in California?
No. I've been to the Reagan Museum, certainly, but no, the Patton Museum, I just saw, interestingly, Patton, the original Patton, which was classic. I won an Oscar.
With George C. Scott.
Yeah, and it was just so real and relevant today. I just was like, I didn't get up once.
My dad was in the Army in World War II. So he liberated Dachau.
Yeah, wow.
And then he joined the Marines, and then he never spoke of the Army again. No offense.
Oh yeah, all our branches are really God's people, and I miss it still. I have a lot of friends who are in the military, and we still communicate regularly.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, it was an honor. Like I said, I miss it every day. I only got out because I was in rank as an officer for too long, even though I started as an enlisted person, and I was getting too old. Go figure.
Yeah. I remember when you ran the first time, and that was in Massachusetts, and you won.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And
when
I remember
Senator
this
Kennedy passed
wonderful video that somebody put out with all this patriotic music, the miracle that happened.
Yeah, that was I just saw that the other day. Somebody sent it to me. Listen, it was an honor to serve, but I remember when I told my wife, she says, honey, it's the Democrat seat. And I go, no, it's not. And then she says, well, it's the Kennedy seat. I said, no, it's not. It's the people's seat. And it really is. And it's still the people's seat up here. I mean, Chris Pappas is probably already picking out the drapes down in Washington. They think it's a no-brainer. But to think that Chris Pappas is going to be our senator when he's wrong on the border, he supported open borders, sanctuary cities, men and boys and women and girls sports. He voted against what President Trump pushed forth because he had an objection about Medicaid.
Right. I was going to ask you about Medicaid, because he's saying that you want that thousands of Granite Staters are going to lose their Medicaid, and that you want that to happen. Yeah.
Well, I'll kind of summon Ronald Reagan. Well, here he goes again. Not telling the people the whole truth. And listen, my mom. You probably remember this. My mom was on welfare. I remember getting those blocks of cheese and powdered milk. And this is a program that was meant for people low and medium.
WIC.
Well, the WIC is one program, but Medicaid and all the other benefits are meant for people in the lower or middle class who really need it. These are people who are truly disabled and absolutely needed, and I absolutely support that. But unlike Chris Pappas, I don't support 1.4 million illegals being on it. And unlike Chris Pappas, and like Bill Clinton, I believe that people should volunteer work if they're able-bodied. There are exceptions for people that absolutely don't need to work, and I support that. But Chris Pappas, he just said, hell no. I just read something today. Hell no, he doesn't want people to work. Well, no offense, you know, we're working. If you're an able-bodied person and you have the ability to get out there and volunteer, oh, it's too much paperwork. Well, have you ever tried filling out an insurance claim, or have you ever tried filling out, you know, college applications for your kids? Yeah, if they need help, they should come down to the senior center or go down to the veterans agent and get some help. I think that's more than appropriate. But just to say blanketly, I voted against that bill because of blank. And if I may, I wrote something down because I didn't want to forget it. So what he voted against is $50 billion in tax breaks for hourly and overtime workers. Those are his waiters and wait staff. He voted against giving them a tax break. Also, for tipped workers, $124 billion for people who don't have to pay any tip, anything on their tips. $100 billion in new economic opportunity zones. They ended $500 billion to the Biden-era tax breaks and special interests to giveaways to wealthy and big corporations, and he eliminated the special tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners. So there were so many things in that bill. And that was the only bill. It wasn't this or wasn't that. It was either yes or no.
Yeah.
That's your choice. And my question to Chris Pappas is, like, why didn't he do his job? Like, why didn't he go to Speaker Johnson and fight for this? So ask him. Everyone ask him, did you go to Speaker Johnson? Did you go to Secretary Kennedy? Did you go to the president? Did you do anything to step outside your comfort zone and instead of listening to your leader filibuster, did you go and actually do your job? And that's the difference between him and me. When I was there and we needed the insider trading bill passed, I went to President Obama from the opposite, and we got it passed. And when I left, they weakened it. You know, that's so Nancy Pelosi can make a ton of money, and we can't. It's wrong.
I just saw a picture of her when she was younger. I'm like, wow, she looked human.
Yeah, well, listen, God bless anyone who can work that hard for, you know, and be you know, up there in age. I know every day, sometimes I wake up with a new ache and pain for sure.
Yeah, I hear you. Oh. What are some of the hot button issues this time around besides Medicaid?
Well, obviously, it's the open borders still. You know, like I said, he supported open borders, sanctuary cities. Thank God, you know, the legislature and Governor Ayotte took care of that here in New Hampshire. But it's still happening around the country, as you see.
I've been to the border twice, and I've either sponsored or co-sponsored that's banning sanctuary cities in New Hampshire for 10 years, a good part of 10 years. And finally passed.
Amen. Yeah, you all have done a great job up there this year. I mean, between the bail reform and the educational opportunities that you've created, it's a good thing. And obviously, one of the things that really bothers me, and people say, why are you running? I said, because we have a Republican governor, House, Senate, and Executive Council. We have 4 members of our federal delegation that are completely out of touch with the values of New Hampshire. It's like they're representing Massachusetts or Vermont or Maine. Because if you look at what they're doing, all the things they're putting in place is directly affecting our New Hampshire advantage, whether it's more taxes, more spending, more regulations. And what this bill does is it gives tax and regulatory certainty to businesses and individuals so they can plan forever. They can do accelerated depreciation to stimulate growth and enhance their businesses. There's so many things that are in there. And once again, if our delegation wasn't happy, are they just going to do nothing? Because if you did nothing with Medicaid, it would expire. You need to do something.
And the tax cuts would have gone away. If
they would have gone away. It would have been
biggest tax hike.
It would have been upended a lot of the things that we've actually been working on, and you saw what's happening now. The stock market, obviously, do we need to work on our debt and deficit? Yes, of course. And when I was there, I filed a bill, 5% across the board cut. I didn't get hardly any sponsors.
What committees were you
I was on Armed Services, Homeland, Veterans, and Small Business. I was the ranking member on
the Armed Services as well.
Yeah. Listen, I'm honored. I'd like to get back on those committees because you know, the things that I've done and we continue to do as a country for our vets is real. You know, we still have to address the suicide issues. Still 22 people, and some of those have never been on active duty. So, I look at the comparison, okay, why are you running and why is Chris Pappas running? As I've said in my opening, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, I'm a soldier, I'm a senator, I'm an ambassador. I don't need a new title. Chris Pappas is looking for a new title. I want a stronger America. And we need people in there who actually have the life experiences, whether it's assessor, selectman, state rep, state senator for the local level, like you're dealing with, U.S. senator, U.S. ambassador on the federal level, and the military for almost 4 decades. That experience gives me the ability so I don't have to go and call up the Defense Department or call up the veterans agents. I've been doing it for almost 40 years. And that's critically important for our state.
Mm-hmm. And we need lower taxes too, because that will make the economy thrive.
Yeah, listen, it's all connected, and there were only 2 choices. And once again, the beauty, and you know this, is that when you get that bill in there, okay, let's say something doesn't work. The fact that you have that baseline bill in there now, you can actually open it up and deal with those issues quicker. And I think that's really important that people need to understand. If, say, something's broken, and we need to fix this, we need to fix that, it's easier to do it with that being passed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good thing.
I remember when you ran the first time, when you were on the show with Al and I, we were asking you about the Second Amendment. You support the Second Amendment? Yeah,
listen, I got the Rick Olson and Secretary, Mr. Cox, gave me their endorsement right now. With Londonderry Fish and Game, obviously have many Second Amendment supporters, and I met with J.R. Houle and others and discussed my position, and I'm actually already working on the reciprocity issue because I'm a gun owner. I have a few guns. I'm not going to tell people how many or where or what. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we live so close to Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, and we can be in those states without even really knowing or paying attention. The kids are screaming, "Oh, I'm in Vermont now. Oh my gosh!" And we have situations right now where people are being prosecuted because they crossed the border with a gun. That's not right. Mm-hmm. So I've already spoken to Mark Wayne Mullen to help support that. He's in favor of that, obviously. And even if I don't get elected, I'm going to work on it because it's very important. And I also said that I'm going to put a Second Amendment expert on my staff to help me understand. As for example, when I had my knee replaced, I didn't go to my accountant. If I have a Second Amendment question, I'll call JR or Al or others. And yeah, I mean, I'm older. I'm in a different state. And yeah, I support the Second Amendment. I belong to the White Birch Armory now for years and love to shoot. And
so J.R. Houle, he was a freshman legislator with me, so we were first elected in 2010. So he's not actually in the House now, but he still is very active.
Very active.
And he's with the New Hampshire Firearms Coalition.
Yeah, which
so
I'm a member.
if you get his endorsement, that's really...
Well, we're working on it, but I did get, as I said, the Londonderry Fish and Game, and they're a very large membership. Yeah. And other strong Second Amendment supporters. So yeah,
I got to shoot a machine gun there one time.
Yeah, I'm doing it as well. It's coming up. Yeah, the machine gun shoot.
That's really incredible.
Yeah.
Never happened.
I did it in the military.
Yeah, I know you were in the military.
A lot of fun.
Okay, I wanted to hear about your campaigning. Well, I know you're just getting into it. It's still early in the season, but what is a typical day like for you?
Well, I've been looking at this now for a while. As you know, I've been supporting, when I got back from New Zealand, I've been supporting the House and Senate PACs with, quite a bit of money. Individual candidates who wanted my help and support financially and through endorsements.
Oh, add me to that, please.
Yep, happy to. It's important. Obviously, I think it helped with obviously our numbers in the House and Senate in particular. Obviously, support Kelly, and I thought she's done a great job. I supported Chris. I thought he did a great job. And yeah, so I've been working and thinking about this because I'm looking at everything that's happening, like the defunding the police. Like Chris Pappas isn't in favor of qualified immunity. That's the immunity that police have when they walk into a situation like, okay, do I do this or not? They cannot be thinking in the back of their heads, if I make this decision and it happens to be wrong, and you're doing it in good faith, you could lose everything.
Right, I've always supported that.
Yeah, he does not support that, and the police know that. So I'm out every day making phone calls, obviously raising money. It's going to take a fair amount of money to fight back against the machine. Mm-hmm. And getting people's endorsements. We actually put out over 100. We're going to do another 100 this week. So yeah, anyone who is listening and wants to join in, you can be retired, you can be a veteran, homeowner, business owner, whatever, just let us know. You can go to scottbrown.com and help and volunteer.
So I also remember from your first campaign, people that they like to use the term carpetbagger, but because you had a house in Massachusetts, but you also had a house in New Hampshire. Aren't you originally from here? And you've lived here for several years now.
Yeah, listen, it's a little bit more interesting than that. I kind of chuckled because, Gene Jahin's from Missouri, Maggie Hassan's from Massachusetts, John Lynch is from Massachusetts, and like 60% of our citizens here and in the legislature are from different states. But I was born at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. My dad was an airman at Pease for years. And he met my mom, who was in Hampton, and they met, they fell in love, they had me. They didn't have a birthing hospital at Pease, so I went to the shipyard, and back then it was in Portsmouth. And then I was there for 2 days, and when we moved back to my house on Islington Street for a couple of years until my parents got divorced. And then I went to Wakefield, where my grandparents were, for that security, because don't forget, back in the 60s, early 60s, if you didn't, it was different for women. My mom was married and divorced 4 times each. My dad as well. I'm a sexual assault survivor, a domestic abuse survivor. I was arrested at 12 for stealing records. It was not a good upbringing, but I had a great coach and I had a great teacher and a judge that gave me a second chance. And the reason I bring that up is because I wouldn't change a thing, because it made me who I am through that adversity. So when people are saying mean things as they do on social, I was like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. And I think that's important because my family's been in New Hampshire since 1717. I'm a son of the American Revolution out of Newington, New Hampshire. I could show you the documentation. So I kind of chuckle, but I'm not going to take away. I'll just share one story. It just, you can't make this up. So I'm in Market Basket. I know I can be in and out of Market Basket in like 2 seconds in Portsmouth. I know where everything is. I'm like, a little growth, and I'm in my gym stuff, just worked out. And this guy said, hey, you're a carpetbagger. Go back to Massachusetts. I'm like, what? I said, what do you mean by that? He says, well, and I told him this story. And instead of him saying, oh, that's great, thanks for telling me, he says, why did you leave? I said, dude, I was like 3 years old. He goes, well, that shouldn't have mattered.
Okay.
I'm like, come on, you're kidding me, right? It's not April Fool's. He goes, well, you could have found another relative. I said, no, I think I was going to stay with my mom. It's like,
where is Maggie Goodlander from?
Yeah,
I don't think she's from New Hampshire.
I don't even care about other people.
She got an apartment in Nashua and then got elected.
Listen, we live in what I consider one of the greatest states in the country. People move here because of the New Hampshire advantage, because of our beautiful, you can be in the ocean in 1 minute, and then a couple hours later you can be, climbing Mount Washington, and then
have you?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Have you done all the peaks?
No, I'm not Jeb Bradley.
I know, Jeb Bradley has.
But I love Jeb, and I did it with him, actually. It was great.
No, I have not. I hiked a little with my youngest son, but now he's grown and gone, so I haven't been hiking since. So what else do you do?
Well, I'm a triathlete. I enjoy racing. It's a great outlet. Like this morning, I already swam and biked, and done 5 races so far. Even with a new knee, my knee is just like, I wish I did it 25 years ago. But and I have a rock band, and we love playing. We opened up for Skid Row. We're performing up in Jackson. We were just in Spofford. We play all over, and it's just such a relaxing opportunity for me to go home. I don't golf, go home and turn on the guitar wicked loud, so my wife has to leave.
Yeah, you and Gail have been together for decades.
It's 39 years.
Wow, so you got married in 1985?
Yeah, yes. This is July, it'll be July 12th is our anniversary. So.
Well, happy anniversary.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Yeah, wow. And my parents, as I said, my mom and dad were married and divorced 4 times each. So to think that Gail and I made it through this milestone is kind of cool.
I also got married in 1985. I was 5.
Yeah, I know. I literally was like 26. Gail was 24. Yeah.
And she was a journalist?
She was a journalist, yeah. She had her first job, and down in North Carolina. So she commuted back and forth for about 6-7 months.
So I saw you both at the Lilac Luncheon. That's
a
Federation milestone. I mean, it happens every year as part of New Hampshire history.
Yeah, it was fun.
And the speaker was from a journalist, well-known journalist, and and she remembered Gail from her days as
Yeah,
a
yeah,
journalist.
yeah. Bianca, I was on her show. I think I'm going to be on tomorrow on Bianca's show. I've been on many, many times. Yeah, they used to work together. I known Bianca probably for 15, 20 years. Yeah, listen, it's a tough business, obviously. You know, it's changed a lot with the advent of social media.
And Bianca gave my grandbaby a shout out.
Oh,
my
sweet.
Little 2-year-old. She had
Yeah,
to come
and
with
she
me.
was amazing.
Yeah, she's the odd. I have 4 little grandkids, and the oldest is
I was
4.
sitting in the next table. I'm like, okay, when's the baby going to lose it?
No, she
and
never
she
did.
was
She's a
amazing.
good girl. She's the only one who could have come to that with me.
Amazing. I was, Gail and I are kind of like looking at each other like, how did that happen? How come our grandchildren aren't like that? That was great.
Well, the other 3, I wouldn't have been able to take them anywhere. But little Gwenny, she's special.
Nice.
So you also have 4 grandkids?
I do, yeah. 4, 2.5, 1.5, and 1.
Oh, they're all little. So
Yeah,
your
yeah,
oldest
yeah.
is
It's like
4 as well.
they came
Wow.
over together, and it was like a demolition derby. The younger one's crawling, and he's ripping things away from the 4-year-old. She's ripping them back, throwing things, yelling, screaming. I like, honey, I need to go. I need to go
So
for a bike ride, please.
What's the mix? Is it?
2 girls and 2 boys. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I have. 2 girls and 2 boys.
Yeah, Ayla's down in Weymouth, and she's doing her entertainment and news stuff. And Ariana's the medical director, head veterinarian at the Lafayette Animal Hospital in Portsmouth. So she's got the girls, and Ayla's got the boys. 2 different, 2 different things, boys and girls.
Oh,
my
they
gosh,
are.
it's
They are very
incredible.
different. Yeah, like the little boy, the 2-year-old, everything is a car, everything is a truck. But they all
Trucks.
like choo-choo trains, and we do our little choo-choo train around the kitchen.
I have my grandfather's choo-choo trains, which I believe may have been his. They're the hardcore, solid metal ones with the metal track, and he loves those things. It's just they weigh like 4 pounds each.
Yeah, well, I forgot what they're called. Blank.
Train.
Yeah, no, there's a name for those trains, and I can't think of it. I'll think of it after the show.
Yeah, they love trucks. Every tractor's Dad, Papa, that's not a tractor. That's a digger. Papa, that's an earth mover.
Oh, they call you Papa.
Yeah.
I like that. My dad was always Papa.
Yeah.
So my husband's Pappy, and I'm Mimi because grandmas are old. I don't want to be old. So.
Gail's Gigi.
Oh,
Grandma
she's got a
Gail.
cute
Grandma
name, too.
Gail. Grandma Gigi.
Yeah,
so
that
whatever.
works out.
It's fun.
Yeah. Do you know State Senator Kevin Avard?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he also sings.
Oh.
So I wondered if you guys would ever.
Well, let's go.
Yeah,
Bring
yeah,
it.
if you
He's
do.
always welcome. Yeah, we're gonna be performing around the area. So I'll reach out to him. That's good to know.
Yeah, the singing senator. Yeah,
That's fun.
he's got a lot of grandkids too, a lot more than I do. So we have about roughly 5 minutes left in the show. Is there anything that you want to tell the viewers about your campaign?
Well, I think it's important to know that this is a very important election. It's an open seat, one of only a handful. It only comes around every so often, every maybe decade or two. And as I pointed out, I mean, I have a wonderful life, but I feel compelled to get off the sidelines because I look at like the votes that they're taking, and it's like they're now the party of the elites and the wealthy because, they don't want our country secure, so they voted for the open borders, the sanctuary cities, the men and boys and women and girls sports. The taxing and spending is out of control. They couldn't find $1, not one thing, to work with Doge or anybody to save money. So is the answer just no? Oh, because it's President Trump or because it's sponsored by this senator or this secretary? It's no? That's not the answer. My suggestion and my hope is that the viewers, they look at the records. Chris Pappas is not a moderate. He comes home, I'm moderate. I voted off on a couple of bills. No, he didn't. He voted against the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, which hurt. How does he walk into his restaurant and tell the people, oh, by the way, I didn't support you? Obviously, there's the seniors now on Social Security, they're going to get a break. That's real. That affects people's incomes directly, money in their pocket. So how do you vote against that? How do you not go and fight for it instead of just saying no, 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 no? That's not the answer because a lot of these programs, if there is fraud, waste, and abuse, which we've seen that there are, or we've seen that there are people illegally on it that shouldn't be there, they're not even citizens, can't you fix it? And I guess the question is, do you want problem solvers or you just want rubber stamps? I'm not going to do this forever. Chris Pappas, he gets in, he's going to go do it for 30, 40 years. I want to go in and do my job. And that's to be the problem solver I've always been. And it's so critically important. And once again, people can volunteer and go to scottbrown.com. As I said, I don't need another title. I want a strong American. I want to do my very, very best to help.
ScottBrown.com.
It's really original. It's
Yes.
very complicated.
What was that again?
Scott Brown.
Scott Brown. Scott, easy to spell, easy to remember.
Yeah, but it's been a real joy. I mean, going to parades. I did Brentwood. I know you had a wonderful parade and the governor was here. That's great. I just couldn't pull it off. And then I went up to Keene and did some events up there, and then went over to Spofford and did with former Senator Tom Eaton, went over to his house and met a lot of people. And then I did another event up there because, it's an important part of the state that often gets neglected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful part of the state, too.
Yeah, yeah. So what are you working on now? And you guys have a little break, obviously.
Yeah.
They're doing some reconstruction at the State House, so it may be an easier summer.
Yes, yeah, for me anyway. I've had a lot of company in from out of town. So my brothers always wanted to come to New England. We moved here in '98. Finally got to come. I took him to Boston to show him the Freedom Trail. He's a historian.
Sure, yeah.
He was happy to meet the cameraman, Justin, because during COVID, my show was taped on Zoom. And my brother did a series with me on the Marines in the South Pacific during World War II. And then we did an hour show on the Cat Marines. And that's my most watched show on YouTube. So
Yeah, in New Zealand obviously is a Five Eyes partner, which is an intelligence security relationship between U.S., Canada, Great Britain, Australia, and New Zealand. And during World War II, we had people train and die in New Zealand in training accidents, and we served in almost every conflict with New Zealand. So did a ton of work with the military, did trade deals. Once again, it's about comparisons. I've done trade deals. Chris Pappas hasn't. I served in the military. He hasn't. I've been in the U.S. Senate. He hasn't. There's no learning curve.
Wow. Well, you're well qualified, and I wish you all the
All
best.
right, thank you.
So
Best to
good
you
luck,
as well.
and say hello to Gail for me.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for watching.